Hey everyone, welcome to the Christmas edition of At the Glass podcast. I'm your host, Mark along with my co-host, George the Greek. How you doing, George?
Opa!
So, here, where we be sipping to get involved, what are you getting involved with today, George?
Well, special Sunday show. Just did some yard work, so starting it off easy, just a small glass of Pinot Grigio. But involvement throughout the day with NFL games on in the background, and then this awesome special Christmas show we're going to have. Involvement will be coming.
Indeed. As you said, we get involved if we feel like consuming some beverages of any kind, and we are, like I said, drinking wine. I am drinking a special, it's an after dinner drink, but it wakes me up. It's a Carrillo. One of my coworkers told me about it because of his wife, and it's a Liqueur 43 with coffee of your kind, whether espresso or regular coffee, whatever, and then I do a splash of tequila with it. It's very tasty. And as we're talking about, this is the Christmas episode where we sent out polls. Thank you for everyone contributing and voting on what they think is the best Christmas movie. I understand there's subjective to how things were paired and so forth, but this is our first go around. Thanks for the feedback. We appreciate it. It's just all fun. And so here we go. We did 24 movies on this list, and we'll start off with the first round. We had Nightmare. What you got?
Hey, really quick, Mark, before we dive in and get to the Christmas special, which I'm very, very geeked up about and excited about. But I only want to just say one small thing really quick is how about those Fighting Irish in Notre Dame? That's all I'll say. We're going to get to the college football show probably in a couple of days here, but how about the Fighting Irish? So anyway, with further ado, let's jump in,
Yes, George is pumped. His Irish took care of business Friday night as they should, or did, and congrats to them to moving on to the next round. And so, back to the movies. So, we'll start with the first round. Nightmare Before Christmas and Polar Express. Nightmare came on top, moved to the second round. Then we had Die Hard versus Deck the Hall. For those everyone has probably, majority has seen, few hasn't seen Die Hard. For Deck the Hall, I know who's in it, but I don't know what it's about. Can you give it a little bit more insight real quick on Deck the Hall because I'm sure some people ask me, like, what's Deck the Hall? And I was like, I can only read you the snippets, but I've never seen it. So what do you do a little quick recap, George, on Deck the Hall so people can get an idea of maybe to watch it during this Christmas season?
Yeah, so, I was a little shocked that Deck the Halls got put up against Die Hard because, Die Hard is probably the number one overall seed going into this. And Deck the Halls, though, is a solid, feel-good, fun family Christmas movie. It has Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito in it. And just a little small quick synopsis. Matthew Broderick lives in a small up north town. He's one of those big Christmas dads that celebrates the whole month of December doing Christmas stuff. And Danny DeVito and his family end up moving in across the street. And he's more of like a car salesman type person, and he decides he has this little itch to want to put as much lights on his house as possible so you could even see the lights from space. And then, of course, you could just tell by the rifts that start happening between, two suburban neighbors. So it kind of turns into a little rivalry, but with the actors of Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick, you could tell it's definitely a funny movie. I enjoyed it. After the first time I saw it, I started watching it every year. So I think for people that haven't seen it, it's definitely I think you should put it on your list. It's a good watch.
Thank you, kind sir, for that to recap. Yeah, Matthew Broderick's always a great actor along with Danny DeVito. Two great people have been around the industry for a very long time. Die Hard took that one. Next was Bad Santa versus The Holiday.
Love Bad Santa. love Bad Santa. That's me during the holidays. Open the car door and all these beer cans come falling out. I'm just kidding.
we're not saying to do what Bad Santa does in real life, people. But during the season, it get a little carried away, having a good time at the house and having a good time, especially during this episode we're doing right now. Yeah, for Bad Santa, it's pretty much down. But it did lose to Holiday. I know Bad Santa's taste or that style movie doesn't fit everyone's fit, but it was a good classic take on Christmas movies with Billy Bob Thornton. Gremlins versus Just Friends. Gremlins took that one. And then Trading Places versus Jingle All the Way. You mentioned Trading Places when we were discussing movies, like what movies should be on the list. And I've heard of it. I've seen parts of it. I finally watched it a couple weeks ago. Enjoyed it. Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. For those that know, Dan Aykroyd's high-end stock trader. Gets framed, and then they bring in Eddie Murphy off the street, who's just panhandling people to say anyone can run this business, and then they catch one. And it's a great movie all the way around. I'm gonna say it takes place during Christmas. It's subjective.
It's a Christmas movie. Duke and Duke. It's a Christmas movie.
It's a good movie all the way around. Definitely caught me off guard with some of the words that were used in that movie. What they could get away with back then versus now. Okay. I will not repeat those words, but it's a good movie. Next was Christmas Vacation against Frosty the Snowman. Christmas Vacation moved on. Scrooged with Bill Murray versus White Christmas. I'll be the first. I've never seen White Christmas. I know it's a classic movie. Have you seen? You said you haven't seen it yet, so.
I like Scrooge though.
But White Christmas won that against them, and then Miracle on 34th Street and Christmas with the Cranks. Christmas with Cranks took that one to go the next round. So here we go to the second round, where I already have moved 8 movies already into that one that I feel like would have one in the first round anyway to begin with. So we go with It's a Wonderful Life and Nightmare Before Christmas. As people expect, It's a Wonderful Life moved on. And this is where George is going to go off. So we had Die Hard against A Charlie Brown Christmas. I'm going to be honest, George, I took Charlie Brown because...
What?
Well, my daughter might have an influence on me on that one. Okay. But this is where you can go do your little rant as for people arguing Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's just a movie that takes place during Christmas time. I feel it is a Christmas movie. Others, like I said, it's not a Christmas movie. George, I know you have your 2 cents to put on this. Let's hear it.
Okay. There's a few things, in my opinion, that are synonymous with Christmas. Obviously, the most obvious and the most important is it's Jesus Christ's birthday. You know, number one, first and foremost. You know, then people are going to think about Santa Claus, cooler conditions, Christmas lights on houses, things like that. But when it comes to movies, how do you not think of Christmas without saying the name Detective John McClane of the New York Police Department, or Nakatomi Plaza, or Hans Gruber?
Or Yippee-ki-yay.
You know, yeah. Or even when Hans Gruber's like, where are my detonators? You know, like, just Die Hard is awesome. It's usually my national champion every year. And there's a reason that all the streaming and cable networks and all that, every time the month of December comes in, Die Hard is free all year round. And then in December, all of a sudden, you got to rent it or buy it. So, but anyway, I personally love Die Hard. To me, Die Hard always makes a deep run into the tournament. I was a little disappointed to see it go down. But, you know, I guess, look, every now and then, even Cinderella has some good years where they knock off a top seed. So I guess that's what's happening. And look, I love Charlie Brown. But, I mean, Charlie Brown's got Easter episodes. They got Thanksgiving episodes. They have every episode under the sun that has to do with Charlie Brown. I personally thought Die Hard should have moved on, but you know what? Our listeners went otherwise.
Yeah. Thank you for how you felt. Get your feelings out there, man.
It's out.
But well, then we had Elf against the holiday. Santa! I know him. So it was funny. We were watching Elf last weekend out in the hill country, and I was just curious to know what fun facts about Elf occurred. And you've seen Elf, right, George?
Yeah.
Okay. When he does the scene where he yells Santa there at the mall, he improv that on the spot. It was not written in the script at all for him to do that. So when you hear him yell Santa, that was not scripted. He did that. Will Ferrell did that all on his own. So that was a fun thing to read about Elf. And then when he's in the bathroom, when Zooey Deschanel is singing in the bathroom because they cut her water off because she couldn't pay her bill. And here's the famous sounds of our show. Oh yeah.
Getting involved.
Yeah, when Zoe's singing in the shower and he's sitting on the sink there, he was just making up lyrics and it just happened to go with it. That was also an improv spot. So it was funny reading that about Elf too.
So wait, who moved on from that one?
So Elf moved on against the holiday. And then Gremlins against Home Alone. Home Alone swept Gremlins. 100% people voted on Home Alone against Gremlins, which doesn't shock me. I figured like some people there might have been like a scraggler vote for Gremlins. No, everyone straight up voted for Home Alone. So,
I just thought of something because, we talk about what's synonymous with Christmas sometimes. And just now I was about to say, like, how are you going to go against the McAllisters? That's Christmas's family. But then it just hit me. So we need to do a little side bet here. Who is the more famous Christmas family, the McAllisters or the Griswolds? So that is its own conversation within itself, but I think it's something important to put out there.
Well, it also looks bad now that the McAllisters left their son back at home. Like, I know they counted for him when they were counting heads, but then they go through the whole airport. We'll get to there eventually, but they realize no one saw Kevin. Like, how did they not realize Kevin's not on? Like, anyway. So Home Alone 1. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer against Jingle All the Way. To speak of Jingle All the Way real quick, you mentioned you hadn't seen it, George, and my wife Rachel has also mentioned she's never seen Jingle All the Way. For those that are curious, I know most of y'all probably have. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was tasked by his wife in the movie to buy a action figure doll called Turbo Man for their son's Christmas present. And of course, he got caught up doing other stuff and never went out and bought it until realized it's the day before Christmas and I need to go find Turbo Man. And everyone's trying to find Turbo Man. And so he's going all over town, striking out everywhere he goes. And then he finally gets his hand on a Turbo Man doll by becoming Turbo Man himself at the Christmas parade. And then it's a good, heartfelt movie, but so it's worth to watch if you want a good, just fun Arnold Schwarzenegger movie during Christmas time.
Who got that one?
Jingle All the Way. Rudolph took that one.
All right, I'll give our listeners some consistency on that one, because if they were going to move Charlie Brown against Die Hard, how do you not move Rudolph? So I see a consistent pattern there. I'm good with that.
You gotta love the claymation. Next was a Christmas Vacation versus the 24 Hours A Christmas Story that they air. So it's just starting on Tuesday, people. If you've never seen A Christmas Story, they do 24 hours. So it's 12 times that'll be aired on TBS/TNT starting at, I believe, 7 o'clock on Christmas Eve to watch A Christmas Story. It is a classic. However, Christmas Vacation knocked them off. I went with Christmas Vacation, but that's just me. Next.
So, and this was our fault. We needed to pair these movies a little better. But, I hear A Christmas Story and I hear National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, to me, those are two top seeds. So two top seeds pretty much faced off really early. But I absolutely love both movies. Like I said,
You'll shoot your eye out.
yeah. One of the families of Christmas is the Griswold. So it's like, how do you go against them? But then on the flip side of that, how do we go against A Christmas Story? Ralphie, the leg, the lamp leg that I have upstairs in my game room, which is awesome. So
Fragile.
Yeah,
Fragile. Oh.
it's a special award or something,
I love when Ralphie's putting his hands up on the leg like he's feeling the left leg. And then, oh, fudge. And when I watched it as a younger kid, I thought they just dubbed the fudge part in the show. And I thought he actually said the F-bomb. But no, it is fudge in the movie. It was never the actual F-bomb, which just makes sense. Why would a kid be saying? But as you get the point. So next was The Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the OG from 1966, going against White Christmas. Grinch won, and then Christmas with the Cranks with the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. And then the Santa Claus knocked off Christmas with the Cranks. So the two Tim Allen movies went against each other, and the Santa Claus took that one. Okay. So, have you seen Santa Claus, George? It's been a while for you.
Yeah, it's been a real long time. Did we have 4 Christmases in this list?
No, it was an honorable mention one.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
there were several movies that I was going back and forth for. Like, it could easily gone up to 32 movies. That's where it's like, okay, are we stretching this out to where, like, just putting movies on there to begin with? So,
well, and you know how I operate sometimes, especially after I've had a few adult beverages. I could be a little Joey the Jackass type person. So the Harold and Kumar Christmas, Office Christmas Party, movies like that I think are, hilarious. But all in all, I thought I was really happy with the list we picked. So yeah.
Maybe next year, instead of doing best Christmas movie, because people took it as it actual being a down-to-earth like Christmas movie, like actual based on Christmas. So maybe next year when we do this, it could be more of best Christmas time music or movies that took place during Christmas time style. That way it's more subjective versus trying to pick, movies more based on Christmas time. But so next we got back to, so now we moved on. That was second round. We're into the quarterfinals. It's a Wonderful Life against Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown won. So
Yes.
So you can relax, George, with them knocking off Die Hard and then getting knocked out the next round.
All right. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah.
Then Elf versus Home Alone.
That, again, 2 heavyweights in the round of 16. I don't know. I mean, who won?
For those wondering, it was close, but Home Alone took the nod from Elf to go to the semifinals. Next was Rudolph against Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation knocked them out pretty easily. Then we had the Grinch against Santa Claus, and the Santa Claus won pretty soundly against the Grinch.
Okay.
So now we're down to the semifinal. So
Final 4.
based off our fan voting. Thank you very much again for voting. Those that did and didn't, well, next year. Or we'll have other ones throughout next year. We'll have other fun things to do because football's coming to an end here in the next month and a half, and then baseball's coming up, but we'll have other fun activities to engage with the viewers.
Hey, don't forget March Madness.
Oh yeah, there's still plenty of sports events, but like just in between stuff. So anyway, so Final Four from the viewers, we have Charlie Brown versus Home Alone. So, and then Christmas Vacation and the Santa Claus. I know I sent stuff to you, George, but I know you have trouble with technology. So, who do you think went to the final based off Charlie Brown and Home Alone?
Well, if you're asking me, love Charlie Brown. Cinderella made a deep run in this tournament, but I mean, Home Alone and the McAllisters, they're a powerhouse. You know what I mean? They're a big staple in Christmas movies. So I'm gonna go with Home Alone making it to the national championship. And then who was on the bottom half of that bracket?
The Griswolds, Christmas Vacation, and The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Tim Allen was a good actor, with Tim the Tool Man and all that in the 90s or mid 90s or whatever it was. But how do you go against Clark Griswold and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? And again, what I mentioned earlier in the show, the two big families that are synonymous with Christmas with the McAllisters and the Griswolds. So when I mentioned that, I didn't even think that this was possible, but now I'm saying that Christmas Vacation gets in, and we have a McAllister Griswold just fight to the end for the national championship of Christmas movies. So, Mark, tell me, who got in?
That would have been a great final, but no.
What?
Santa Claus. As Tim Allen said when he was sitting in the jail cell with the cops being interrogated for kidnapping his son. But it was a nail biter between Christmas Vacation and then Santa Claus. Like, it was 51.6% votes to Santa Claus to 48.4% to Christmas Vacation. So, like, 1 or 2 vote difference really is what it came down to between those two movies to go to the final. So, here we are. We are down to the final 2 movies between Home Alone and The Santa Claus. So, for those who, for some reason, have never seen Home Alone, it's about a kid who gets left behind at home while their parents plan this trip over to go to Paris, and finds out there's these 2 guys breaking in houses, and he sets booby traps to capture them and defends his family's house while they're out in Paris. And then, of course, for the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, for those who haven't seen it, is Tim Allen as a normal guy, works at a toy company, and it's Christmas Eve. His son's with him at his house. Santa falls off the roof. He puts on the suit and then becomes Santa Claus, and then he has to do the job of Santa. And so, great movie. I will say I picked Santa Claus. I can see in your eyes, George. I think I know who you would have voted for. Let me see if you're correct. If I'm correct, let's see who you would have picked. Go for it.
Hiya, pal. No, it's got to be Home Alone. The McAllisters are, Christmas's family. Great movie, but another small thing that people do not think about when they watch Home Alone. In a lot of these movies, a lot of us take for granted a lot of the small things, and one of it being the music in the background. Now, I didn't realize this, but John Williams, which is one of my favorite, I don't know if the right word is composer, but the music that he makes for movies. I mean, the guy's done Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Superman, E.T. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I didn't realize he's the one that is responsible for the Home Alone music as well. So for me, how do you go against the McAllisters? How do you go against Joe Pesci? How do you go against John Williams with the music? So for me, it's Home Alone.
Well, for those who are curious that have been listening, waiting to find out, that's who won. Home Alone.
Nice.
Kevin!
Nice.
When she realizes that he's still at home and she's on the plane halfway over the pond going to Paris with the rest of the family. It beat the Santa Claus. It was close, but not as close as Christmas Vacation the Santa Claus was, but it was a close voting. But yep, Home Alone took home the championship of Best Christmas Movie for 2024. I had some feedback from other people that Home Alone 2 was better. Maybe it'll be on the list next year. For those who like the sequel, but more than the first one. But overall, it was Home Alone's a great one to win the champion for this year. And I'll do quick facts. You'll appreciate this about Home Alone. But real quick, before I get into quick fun facts about Home Alone filming, Georgia Greek's got something.
So Home Alone wins the national championship, right?
Yeesh.
Okay, so with that said, you have to give Home Alone its proper due with music. Go Home Alone!
And for those that don't know, that's Notre Dame's fighting music. So if you like the Irish, there you go. If you don't, then, well, get on board because that's what's happening right now with George.
Hey, aren't the McAllisters Irish? I mean,
They are in Chicago, right?
They're in a suburb of Chicago, so, I'm sure Buzz and all the other kids, they went to South Bend, so,
Totally. Or did they go to Northwestern?
Bro, they forgot their kid at home. I don't think they're that smart to go to Northwestern, so yeah.
Don't you have, Notre Dame's a well-educated school too, so.
Yeah, no, very much so. I think, though, on the academic scale, Northwestern might be just a smidge above. I think Northwestern's arguably an Ivy League school, but I'd have to go fact check on that. So,
if you want to do journalism, go to Northwestern. I know there was a well-known school for journalism.
Yeah.
So, but fun facts for our winner. So, yes, we all know the tarantula is real. If you didn't know this, Buzz's girlfriend in the photo where Kevin goes, yeesh, like when he was a boy that they dressed up to look like a girl in that photo. The movie he's watching that's black and white, where he's like, I'm going to give you the count of 3 or I'm going to blast you when he's eating ice cream. Mm-hmm. That's not a real movie. It's just a made-up movie that they put in the background for him to watch. It's not like Scarface or Godfather like that. It's just
what is it? All angels go to heaven?
Something like that. But it's not even a real movie, though. So another fun fact was, it's Angels with Filthy Souls is what it's called.
I love it.
And then John Hughes wrote the script in 9 days.
That's badass.
Then Joe Pesci avoided Macaulay Culkin deliberately on set so that Macaulay Culkin would think he was really mean in real life. That's why. So, yeah. And the idea for the film was inspired by John Hughes' anxiety as well. So those are the fun facts of Home Alone. So, yeah, I didn't know that about Joe Pesci deliberately just avoiding Macaulay Culkin just so he could be mean, just so he'd make it that much better.
So now what I'm curious about, now that we went through the bracket, why don't you give me, or why don't we put out, I guess, our Final 8, Final 4, and then title winners, or even if we just do Final 4 for each of us, maybe with an honorable mention or something, just to see how far off from everyone else we are.
So do you want to go? All right. So back to Final 8, you're saying, I guess? Or 6?
Yeah.
Seems, well, for me, Christmas Vacation, Santa Claus, Charlie Brown, Elf, Die Hard. Die Hard, Elf, Christmas Vacation, Santa Claus, Charlie Brown, The Grinch, Jingle All the Way. Guess The Grinch, Jingle All the Way, and then maybe. Is that Elf, Home? I guess Home Alone, if that makes 8. I'm sorry, I'm losing count here. But that would have been my top 8 right there. Really, if Santa Claus... my top 3 movies, like I was on board with winning, was Christmas Vacation, Santa Claus, or Charlie Brown was my top 3 to win. So okay. I would have been okay with any of those winning. I mean, I love Home Alone, don't get me wrong, but those between Christmas Vacation, Santa Claus, or Charlie Brown would have been my top three Christmas movies.
Well, during this tournament, I was a little disappointed with some of our listeners, but I love y'all. But what I learned is during the tournament, we're a lot more on the same page than I thought we were. So here are my final 8 that I would have gone with. And I hope I could get this right, but in no particular order: A Christmas Story, Deck the Halls, Die Hard, Elf, Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, Trading Places, and then crap.
One more.
Yeah, I know.
One more.
I'm just trying to think of the list right now.
We got, let's see.
Name off some.
Well, Christmas with the Cranks, Grinch, Jingle All the Way, Rudolph, Just Friends, Bad Santa, The Holiday, Nightmare Before Christmas, Polar Express, Scrooge.
Based off of the list, I'll go Scrooged or either Charlie Brown Christmas. You know, I'll throw Charlie Brown Christmas in there because I am a traditionalist, and look, I was an 80s and 90s kid, and I remember watching that growing up. But my final 4 gets a little more interesting. Definitely Die Hard, and again, no particular order. Die Hard, Home Alone. I always have A Christmas Story in my final 4, and really, it's that last slot that it's tough to give because I go back and forth between Elf, Trading Places, and Christmas Vacation. And I think this year, in years past, I've always put Trading Places in that spot, but this year, I mean, maybe it's because I've just seen more of Christmas Vacation on TV this year, and it just reminds me how funny and hilarious it is. I went with Christmas Vacation in the final 4.
Fixed a pinhole, or whatever, the top of the stairs with the chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but for the national championship, I got Home Alone versus Die Hard. And in years past, I've always had Die Hard win it all for the national championship. But this year, we're going to go with the McAllisters. We're going to go with Joe Pesci. We're going to go with John Williams. So this year, I agree with all of our listeners. So you guys were awesome. You came through in the end. And for 2024, At the Glass podcast, national champion Christmas movie, it's Home Alone.
Can't go wrong with it. I'm with you, George. I mean, I enjoy it, Home Alone, as much as a lot of the other Christmas movies, and I'm okay with them taking it home this year. So we'll just have to wait till next year to see who comes out on top when we do, just like I said, the best general Christmas movie during Christmas time, I guess, versus actual best Christmas movie.
Are we gonna have an upset from somebody that didn't even make the list, like Office Christmas Party? Oh.
Well, yeah, now we're diving into the other Christmas movies. That, like you said, Harold and Kumar Save Christmas. There's one that apparently got great.
4 Christmases, that's hilarious.
Yeah, 4 Christmases.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people. I messed up. I should have included. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the movie. It's got hang on. Love Actually. I got, not by one, handful of people said, "Where's Love Actually?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I just didn't put it on there." But now I know, and next year's movie list might be a little bit longer to include so many Christmas movies are out there now with Netflix and like all the streaming devices. So like there's a ton of Christmas movies on Netflix that weren't even accounted for. So like Jack Black's new Christmas movie that just came out where he's Satan and he's acting like Santa Claus. Yeah.
Well, hey, I just want all of our listeners to know we really appreciate y'all, and we love doing this for you guys. But I want everybody to know, and this is actually very, very important for everyone to know this. whenever something does go wrong, or if you hear something that you normally don't necessarily agree with or don't like, since Mark just took the onus and said, hey, this was my fault, in all likelihood, it's usually his fault. It's not my fault. So if anyone wants to comment on that, please send us an email. Feel free. But, hey, I'm here for you guys. Just like I said, I picked Home Alone for the national championship, just like you guys did. So, Mark, we love you. But again, it was your fault. I do have a quick side thing, though. Was Uncle Buck a Christmas movie? Or was it even kind of during? I know it was like in the winter and stuff like that, but was it ever a Christmas movie?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I know the principle. I've never seen it all the way through to say that is a Christmas movie or not.
Never seen Uncle Buck?
Unfortunately, I've not seen Uncle Buck. Like I said, so again,
you need to have a John Hughes movie marathon at your house.
How about this? I'm gonna get a big screen, blow up screen for the front yard, and I'll get a projector, and we'll just sit and watch all the Christmas movies from here on out, starting now until next year.
We can invite all the listeners. Hey, I will provide the booze. You provide the screen. It's going to be beautiful.
That would be pretty fun, actually. Yeah. So doing that, and I've seen other people, put up big old screens, broadcasting the playoff games of any kind. But that would be fun doing that. You're not wrong. So, yes, this is all fun. I know we just bust each other and give me a hard time because I'm the one who organized and did a bad job. But hey, learning curve. It was fun. I enjoy it. This is all fun and games. But I guess George said, we appreciate y'all listening. For those that do listen, we will continue doing what we do best, making fools of ourselves and just jibber jabbing about random things, particularly college football right now. As George said, look for our next one here in a couple of days of recapping this past opening round of playoffs and whether or not some teams should have gotten in. I know we've said, but before we go there. So as this concludes our Best Christmas Movie 2024 episode, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. As George said, shoot us an email at theglasspodcast@gmail.com for your gripiness and your Scrooge humbugness to me, but I will still love you either way. Till then, signing off. Happy New Year. Be safe out there. Enjoy your time with your friends and family. Till next time.